Acts chapter 6 verse 1 speaks about Hellenistic Jews, and they had an argument with the Hebraic Jews over point of views and how people were being overlooked. All right, in the King James Version it says the Grecians and the Hebrews. All right, we have different versions of what Hellenistic and who these group of people were. Basically, they were a group of Jews or Hebrews, because J only came up 500 years ago. So they were a bunch of Hebrews who had mixed in, married, and picked up the culture and the language of the Grecians. So they were actually Hebrews that picked up the Grecian. They were just called Hellenistic Jews. And the Hellenistic thing means if you pick up a culture, a language, and whole nine yards of whoever and whatever you're around. We had Grecian had a big influence because they had conquered and ravaged the land and did so much, and so did Rome. So a lot of them had adopted their paganism and stuff like that into what Judaism was. Why? They adored Judaism and they liked Judaism, but they wanted to make it so economic and political that they made it Hellenistic. When Christianity came along, and technically, to be honest with you, Christ in the Bible, in the Hebrew scrolls that were translated, Christ means Messiah. All right, the Jews were the Hebrews, because J is only 500 years old. So getting back to what I was saying, all right, 70 AD, all right, we had the fall of the temple. The Hebrew language and the culture and a lot of that stuff had been wiped out. Nobody could even understand these scrolls except for one scholar that was Greek, which translated all of these scrolls into Greek. So those words and those meanings got dust down, changed over to English. By it being changed over to English, we have about 5 definitions for one English word. Our language is the most complicated in the world. Let it be known. So with that being said, when the Grecians picked it up, they adopted it and they turned it into a political, economical thing. Now, they've tried to do this before. Where do we see it? In the book of Maccabees. They didn't like it, but they adored it. So what did they do? They make it Hellenistic. They made it Hellenistic to the point that they made it into their way, made them sacrifice pigs' bloods and all this other stuff. All right, what that we see today. Now, with that being, our language being stolen, I mean not stolen, but forgotten, and all this other stuff back in 70 AD, and then the Grecians adopting and translating the scrolls, that's when they converted others, and then you see what we see today. Hellenistic is also happening to us in this day and time. How do we have a Hellenistic day and time? Look at the Christian faith. It's adopted all of these statues, all of these holidays, and the whole 9 yards. Now, the same Hellenistic culture and the same Hellenistic ways that was put on to the Hebrews back then was put on through Rome and the whole 9 yards with the holidays, the Christmas, the bunny rabbit thing, and the whole 9 yards. All of these Hellenistic ways make it Hellenistic Christianity. All right, because it's it adopted all of the cultures of the Roman and the Grecian ways into what it's not supposed to be. Because if we see what the disciples did and how they worshiped and what they talked about, a lot of these Hellenistic ways weren't in there. That was a trick of the trade that we see to sway and whitewash the truth and your divine path to the truth. So understand that Hellenistic is a culture and a way that a lot of people do that believe in God and they think it's okay because they don't know the truth or understand the truth.